Welcome to Technovation. I'm Peter High. As you look to the future, what are some trends that really excite you?
AI basically is front and center of a lot of things that we are doing. Our focus to more personalized and more direct engagement with our customers and providers and other stakeholders has really pushed us towards that AI first mentality in everything that we do. How do you personalize the interaction with a member? How do you look at their claim history to provide them content that is really relevant to them? How do you make sure that you look at the pharmacy record and provide them, okay, these are the things that you're not doing, what you should be doing, get care gap alerts and other things. The symptom triage function, for example, on our Sydney Health app is actually that. The AI is reading what are you going through and what could be the reason why you're calling us, or why do you need to see a doctor?
I think AI and ML, it needs to become ambient. What I mean by that, it's just present in how we do work. So it's embedded in the workflow, it's embedded in the processes.
When you embed it into processes, you're not dependent upon someone else outside of the process gaining knowledge and insight and having to then get questions answered and then dig further and then dig further. It's embedded into your processes and it's doing it while the processes are actually being activated or transactions are occurring.
So I think everybody embarked on trying to figure out, what to do with data. First there was data warehouses, now there's data lakes, and now you're hearing about lake houses, right? So it's taking it to the next phase. But the most important thing is, are you getting value out of it? Is the business able to take that information, use it in a way they haven't used it in the past, and derive outcomes? AI doesn't exist without good sound data behind it.
I think the finish line for a lot of AI and ML projects is the insight, is the dashboard, is the algorithm finding, which I think is insufficient because the finish line has to be the action taken from that insight. What are people supposed to do with what the machine learning algorithm is telling them? Here's what the algorithm is asking or suggesting, but the critical part of it is we want that human feedback, the human in the loop. So the human and the employee telling us, here's what was useful, here's what wasn't so useful, so the algorithm can get better and better.
Obviously, the intent is to supercharge that data for AI and machine learning applications. So it's democratization of the data, and of course, the AI ML use cases that we're going after, whether it be creation of product, how we assort product, how we manage inventory, how we manage pricing and promotions. Those are all use cases that we've deployed and continue to scale globally.
AI is ultimately about predicting the future. And the more data you have, the more training, the more visibility into the past, the more likely you are to be able to say what's likely to happen next. And so artificial intelligence in lending really means, the prior world was mostly based on rules with a handful of, numbers or variables that go in there that define who has access to credit and at what price. Now that can be perfectly good. I mean, the reason people like it is it's so explainable and understandable. You can sort of look at the logic, but unfortunately it's horrendously inaccurate, meaning it is assigning risk to somebody that is very bluntly decided in a way that invariably does not represent the true risk of that individual.
AI is pervasive in our daily lives, and now it's being used from everything from recruiting decisions to healthcare risk prediction to judicial sentencing, approval of loans, and of course, movie recommendation or Spotify. So if a movie recommendation is flawed, that's nothing, it's not the end of the world. But in the other case that I just mentioned, if there is a data or an algorithmic bias, the result could be disastrous for those who are at the receiving end of this decision. So If the people or the group who are creating this technology is homogeneous, it will work for that specific population, and that innate or unconscious bias will show up in the decisions in designing the algorithm. So there is incomplete, underrepresented bias data or algorithmic biases that I mentioned earlier. So for example, if we publish any model, we want to make sure that it goes through a checklist of, say, data sheets for data set, which has information about where this data is coming from, how comprehensive it is, does it represent all, how is it updated. So there's a lot of work that we are doing. It's far from completed, but the fact that everybody's realizing this is an issue, that by itself is something great.